Welcome to Crinkletalk Podcast, brought to you by Chiquita Bananas. If you have a cramp, put a banana in your mouth. And here we are on the first ever Crinkletalk Podcast. I'm your host, Tim, along with my brother-in-law,
Jared.
Way to
He
go.
just started pointing at me. I couldn't tell what was going on.
We are doing this from our soundproof studio called My Kitchen. So you very well might hear my two dumb dogs running around and possibly background TV or son or wife talking. So deal with it. Today we are enjoying some different beers from around the country. We got one from Colorado called the 3 Barrel Brewing Company, and it's their Thursday special. It's a coconut brown lager. We have not had this yet, so we'll see how that is.
And first, everybody just needs to know why Tim was so excited about this one. It has a man half clothed on the front that really tipped him off to why he would enjoy a beer. Anything associating men with very little clothes on is really a draw for him.
But the hat really does it for me. It looks like it has a flower in it, so
It's
that'll work.
like a pink woman's hat.
That is definitely strong coconut. Not necessarily the best beer ever, but interesting.
It tastes like if you had a candle and you were to smell it, that would be the taste.
That's actually a good description.
A very, I don't even know how you describe that, but a very aromatic coconut. I'm not sure really what else it's supposed to taste like.
So you may be wondering why you should listen to the two of us, and to be honest, there's no real good reason. I have been homebrewing for about 11 years, and I'd say that my first big craft brewing experience was when I went out to Delaware, and I stopped at this little tiny brew pub I've never heard of before called Dogfish Head, and had a really nice lobster roll there and tried their pale ale. And I'm like, oh, that's not a bad pale ale. But then I saw this funky little beer on the menu called the pumpkin ale, and I had never heard of a pumpkin beer at that time. 11 years ago, you couldn't find them in every corner like you can now. And I tried it, and it was just kind of like an epiphany, like, whoa, you can do this with beer? What else is there out there? So that's kind of how I got started, and, going into stuff like Fat Tire, and then Sam Adams, of course, and of course we've long since moved on and joined things like New Glarus Enigma and all the Dogfish Head that they have. 120-minute IPA, just had Higher Math last week, and trying to get in the brewing scene in Iowa. We've become friends with several brewers in the state, and that's kind of where we're at. So how did you get started in craft beer?
I just drink it. Basically, my brother-in-law, Tim, and my brother both make their own beer. And their first attempts, they were all not very flavorful or tasty. You're forced to drink it and put a smile on your face when you're family. So you just pretend like you're enjoying it. But then as they got better, that increased my taste. And then I just started exploring other things. I'm a big winemaker, so I started off with the darker beers, stouts and stuff like that. But since then, my tastes have evolved where I'm just looking for anything different that I can try. It really doesn't matter as long as it looks a little different. I like the creative stuff, the stuff you're not going to see everywhere. So anytime I could find something like that, I grab it.
So are you trying to say that my beer wasn't good?
I'm saying sometimes it's still not good.
Okay, fair point. We'll let that one go. That's all right, because I don't think you're going to like every beer every time, even breweries that you love. Like me with Dogfish Head, they have several beers that I could care less if I ever drank again because I think they're disgusting. But they also have some of my favorite beers that I will reach for over and over again, like Palo Santo, 120 IPA, 90 IPA. Any IPA by them is great. Really.
And it really isn't whether I like everything, because there's always somebody else out there that may like it. Now, when it came to some of yours, there isn't all of those people. But there's always usually somebody that wants to try something that may disgust the rest of us. And the more I drink of this one that we're having, I am wondering if there is other people out there that may be enjoying this one, because I'm not sure.
It's not
There's
so
an
good.
audience for it.
We're just trying to finish it fast now so we can move on to the next one and have something maybe not quite so nasty.
Yeah, Tim's supplying everything today, so who's to know what we're going to get ourselves into, but this is not something I would encourage anybody to get themselves into.
No, this one was supplied to me by my friend Lisa, who just went to Colorado for the week and brought it back, and I am very grateful for the attempt, and not a good coconut lager. I'll take 515's Castaway Porter, their coconut porter, any day of the week. That has to be actually one of my favorite porters of all time. I don't know if you've had that one yet.
I have not had that one.
It's excellent.
No, and this was free beer, correct? Or did you offer up money for this?
I guess you could say that this one might be part of the free beer. I did pay for some, and some was supplied, so.
Because when it's free beer, it doesn't matter what it tastes like.
That's very true.
You just support it and drink it no matter what.
So we do have other interests other than just beer. Of course, that's kind of what we gravitate towards on a Friday or Saturday night.
Or a Wednesday or a Tuesday, just depending on the week.
But we both have multiple dogs. We're both big football fans. Unfortunately, Jared's a Bengals fan and I'm a Lions fan, so...
So one of us cheers for a team that's in the playoffs every year, and the other cheers for a team that doesn't sniff the playoffs every year.
Right, but you still haven't made it past the first round in, I don't know, ever.
Hey, we won the Super Bowl.
Were you even alive when that happened?
It might have been like when I was 3, but we still did it. When was the last time Detroit was there?
I'm pretty sure they were world champs like 6 times in like a 10-year span back in, I don't know, the 1800s.
Was there 2 teams in the NFL at that point?
Oh, I think there was at least
NFC
4 or 5, wasn't there? It was back when they actually threw a live pig.
Huh. I don't think any of that's true, but we'll let him believe what he wants.
No, you can look it up. Google it. Live pig football. It happens.
You'd be amazed what you'll probably find on the internet with that now, though.
Just, you might want to turn your safe search on. Cause
Make sure you're not at your workplace, because who knows where that will go.
So you were just in Wisconsin last week. Did you get to try any good beers when you were out there?
No, I don't get to drink beer when I'm in Wisconsin. I get to buy beer.
You get to buy beer. So did you bring back some good beer and try some since in the week that you've been back?
I have brought beer back. I can't tell you what like all the breweries are, but I did get from Horny Goat, what's their, I believe it's the peanut butter stout or something of that nature.
Peanut butter porter.
Peanut butter porter.
We actually drank that last week without you at Easter at your family's, and not so good. It was super, super fake peanut butter.
Yeah. And I know they use peanut butter powder in it, like the PB2.
That's actually what it tasted like, and it was not enjoyable at all.
No, it was almost too harsh. Like it needed to be, if they had barrel aged it or something to make it smoother or done something to it, it might have been a little more drinkable.
Or maybe had a beer to back it up with, but...
Yep. And then I had gotten a bomber of something from Central Waters that was a malt beverage that was aged in some sort of barrel. And that was delicious. Generally, anything I've gotten from Central Waters I haven't been a huge fan of, but I haven't had too much of their more limited release stuff. So that was a nice thing to encounter. I got a bomber from Pearl Street Brewery of a Goes, or whatever that word is.
Goes.
Yeah, whatever it is. It's a type of sour, I believe.
Yeah, with the saltiness to it.
Yeah, and I have not drank that yet, but it's probably one that if we come back and do this again, I could probably bring it. I'm not sure, though, how long of a podcast that is if we're drinking a bomber, so maybe not an option. And then...
What do you mean if we do this again? This is obviously going to be a hit, and iTunes is going to want to sign us immediately for at least a 100 podcast deal.
Yep, I'm sure that's what will happen. And then I grabbed from I can't remember what the brewery was, but it was a Project Brewery, and they had a gunpowder green tea. And then I think that's all that I told Tim that I had gotten. So I don't think there's any other options that I had out there. But we will bring some of those again when we do the podcast again. If iTunes signs us, maybe they'll send us free beer as well.
Well, we're also going to get bunches of bananas from Chiquita.
Yeah. We hope to make it a banana brew. I was trying to think of a clever Chiquita reference in a beer name, but I don't have anything. Hopefully it'll pop in as we keep going.
Well, there's got to be other bananas out there too, but since
Well, I believe Dole has
Dole,
the banana.
yes.
Um,
Maybe we can get them to sponsor us next week. But this is totally Chiquita. We love Chiquita, that little dancing lady.
she wears a fruit basket on her head.
Yes, much like Bugs Bunny.
Much like Bugs Bunny. Very, very similar.
When he's trying to do Summer Fud.
Is Bugs Bunny a man? Because you just referred to him as he. If he's trying to seduce Elmer Fudd, that
Yes.
really changes the dynamic.
He is trying to seduce Elmer Fudd, and it is a man.
Huh. Well, that just brings up a lot of questions for me that I hadn't ever thought of before.
Why, did you have feelings for Bugs Bunny when he dressed up like a woman?
No, but hasn't he also, like, had the female Bugs Bunny that he seduces? Isn't there a female bunny that at times comes into the episodes?
Well, Bugs is a swinger. What's wrong with that?
A cross-dressing swinger.
Are you questioning his life choices?
I'm guessing maybe that's a candidate to drink this beer that we're drinking.
I've seen some of your life choices, and I don't know if I'd go and question that bunny.
I don't know.
I
I
mean,
just never thought of it that way.
You are in my kitchen tonight making this podcast.
That's true.
That was coconut brown lager was so unappetizing. We are moving on to the next one as fast as we can. And this one was a special one commissioned for one of the Hy-Vees in Waterloo from a brewery in Rhinebeck, Iowa, Broad Street Brewery. And I've never had anything from them before.
I don't think they do any bottling or anything, do they?
I
It's
honestly
all
know
exclusively kegs.
absolutely nothing about them, other than I did have some of this last week.
Well, I don't know anything about them either, but we're going to make the determination that they only sell kegs. If Broad Street's out there listening and they sell it in bottles or cans, please feel free to send them to us.
To prove us wrong.
Yeah, otherwise we think you're liars. And that's okay if you want to have that reputation in the public. So Tim's pouring this. Realize he is not fully in control of his bodily functions. And by that I don't mean his bladder and his bowels, but his hands.
Although if I drank enough, it might happen.
So he may have an accident when we're pouring here.
I do have cerebral palsy, so that does affect just about everything.
Including his ability to train his dog. If you hear me throw something across the room, it's because his dog has jumped on my groin.
Just because my dog likes his grain.
He keeps on licking my leg. I'm not sure what that's all about.
He's not the brightest dog in the world.
Clearly.
So this is I think it's about 11.5%, and it is a Jack Daniel's barrel-aged peanut butter stout. I had it last week and actually enjoyed the beer itself. The barrel aging, I think, was just a little bit over the top. I don't know if it's any different this week, but my opinion at that time was that it really could have used 2 to 4 months to sit in the keg before that they put it on tap to mellow out that whiskey barrel flavor.
And just my initial reaction when smelling it is I do believe that Tim is probably accurate in that assessment. If the smell that's coming off of this matches the taste at all, it seems to be incredibly, incredibly barrely. And I did trademark that term barrelly. If anybody feels they need to use that, please feel free
Is that like
to let me know.
barely gently down the stream?
No. But
Actually, I
however
think
you wanna
it
use
actually has mellowed out slightly in the last week. You probably tell me that it's overly boozy, which it is still. But if you can get past that, I actually really enjoy the beer underneath this. It's incredibly smooth for an 11%.
It is really smooth. I was going to ask the percentage on that.
The peanut butter is very subtle, and we're not getting much of it due to the booziness and the Jack Daniel's barrel from it right now. But I still like this beer quite a bit, and I would really like to try. Apparently they have a vanilla variant of this.
So without the peanut butter or peanut butter vanilla?
I think it's just the stout with vanilla. And they didn't say whether it was barrel aged. So if you're out and about and for some reason in Waterloo, Iowa, try not to get shot or stabbed and go to Crossroads Hy-Vee and they'll fill up a growler. Only is like $8 a growler.
Wow, for a growler that size, it's $8.
Yeah, it's a 64-ounce growler, $8. You can't beat that.
Yeah. How much is in a bomber? How many ounces is that?
Bomber's 22 ounces.
Well, that's a way better deal.
Yes.
Is that all of their growlers are that price?
I think the normal growler price is $7.
But this was a limited
This
edition
was
or a
limited
specialty
edition, so it was
type beer.
$8.
Wow.
Don't tell Chad. I told him it was $9. Chad is Jared's other brother, and I bought him a growler last week.
And
But,
charged him $9 for it.
That's
Apparently.
right.
There's inflation there, and
I did.
You know,
I did drive an hour and a half to go get it.
I do believe that if anybody listens to this podcast, Chad may be the only one. So him revealing his secrets and telling not to tell him,
of the 5 people that listen,
probably not a good idea.
sorry, Chad. But I did get you some pretty good Dogfish Head beer to compensate, so deal with it.
Did you give him some of the amount of Dogfish Head beer that you had received?
I gave him some of that, and we did a beer swap last week, and he got a 4-pack of Berton Baton from Dogfish Head. And then a few weeks ago, we were in Dubuque, and we stopped over to my favorite liquor store in the world called Family Beer and Liquor in East Dubuque. And yes, I understand how ironic that is when they have a beer and liquor store called Family Beer and Liquor. And they had their Dogfish Head Pumpkin Ale 4-packs on sale for $5.99.
Oh.
So I picked up one of those for him, but I took out one of the pumpkin beers to keep for myself, and I popped in a nice little Palo Santo for him, which is definitely not $5.99 a 4-pack.
Yeah, I was going to say, that makes it worth it just by itself.
Yep.
The
And
extra
then
$1, he'll be fine.
a couple of Big Eddie's cherry Doppelschwartz as well. And then he gave me some Millstream and some other stuff.
It must have all been awesome, based on the amount of memory that Tim is showing in regards to...
To be fair, I did drink a 10% Imperial IPA right before Jared came over because he was kind of being a little slow tonight. So
It happens.
But I really enjoy this beer. I wish it had a little bit less barrel to it, but it's still pretty darn good beer.
I would definitely drink this one again, compared to the first one.
Well, I hope so, because I got 64 ounces here, so.
Yeah, but that would mean I'd have to come and see you more frequently, and I don't
Yeah,
know
nobody wants that.
if that will happen, so. But I don't get any of the peanut butter.
I'm not getting it today. I got it a little bit last time. I guess it's kind of there in the back, like an aftertaste. But again, you're fighting so hard to get past that whiskey barrel flavor that it's just getting swallowed up.
Yeah, and I actually quite enjoy it. Compared to a lot of the other barrel-aged things that have come out, this one is probably one of the more mellow that I've had, but I'm assuming all the other ones I've drank way too early in their life cycle and maybe should have put them away and saved them for a year down the road. This one, to me, I don't know if it's just because it's in a growler, if it ages more quickly, or if it's a matter of it's just already getting closer to being ready. But those other ones, you can definitely feel the burn on the barrel as it is going down your throat.
So when you typically buy your barrel-aged beers, how soon do you drink them? Do you all drink them all right away, or do you try to save them for a few months or a year?
Well, when you say try to save them for a few months, yes, but then I drink them right away. The plan is always to save them and have them later, but then as the beer supply gets depleted, we don't really live in a hub of great beer, even though Toppling Goliath is just down the road. They haven't always been the friendliest individuals, so I don't enjoy going in there to get things.
Just to put this clear, we are literally in the middle of nowhere. We are halfway between Decorah and Waterloo, which is the absolute center of nowhere.
Yep.
So when people say, I'm in the middle of nowhere, it's not true unless they're where we're at. We are lucky, though, that we do have some really good breweries. I know they're still 45 minutes away from us, but we've got Toppling Goliath that does have some fantastic beers. You've got Pulpit Rock, who's really been putting out some good beers lately. And then you get down to Cedar Falls, and you got those guys at Single Speed who've been pumping out great beers for a long time now. Now, if we can make a day trip or a weekend over to Des Moines, you have some incredible brewers over there, and we really need to get out there and try some more. 515 has become quickly one of my favorite breweries of all time. I have not had anything not fantastic from them. I really want to get to Alluvial. Have you had anything from them yet?
I have not. I had not even ever heard of them until you texted me to pick up their collaboration with Pulpit Rock, so I looked them up. And
notice
they look
it's
good,
not sitting on this table, so you have failed.
Well, I can only do a podcast for so long before my wife would say, "Where are you at?" and then need me back. So if I had brought a growler as well, We may have extended that time,
Well, we
and then I would
don't
never
have
been
to
allowed
drink all 64 ounces of the growler. You could
But
just
everybody
buy it.
out there who's listening right now, if you have the option of bringing your own growler that you paid for, or just coming and drinking somebody else's beer, which option are you going to choose? It's not really a debate that we need to have, I'm assuming.
So are we going to have to do every other podcast at each other's house so that you can supply the beer next time? And
That's fine. I believe I still have some more of those. What was the one with the skull on it that was overly delicious that we kept on passing around?
oh, the wonderful Oculto. Yeah.
Yes.
Best tequila beer ever, if there is such a thing.
And then I think there's the, I can't think of the name of that one either.
That noise in the background here is my son, Joseph, digging out some Gatorade, and I think he really just wants to be part of this, so he keeps finding excuses to come into the kitchen right now.
That's right, I've seen him more now than what I've seen him the rest of the evening.
Otherwise,
Once
he's
we
always
get out
hiding
here.
in front of his computer as we... What would you like to say?
Thumbs up the video.
It's a video.
Thumbs up the video. You can tell he is a YouTuber and spends a too far amount of time watching videos of people on YouTube, and most of those people are playing video games. I never really understood that. I guess it's definitely not our generation
No.
to watch other people play video games. I always called that the boring time when I was over at Waylon's house and he was taking his turn on Mario or Castlevania, or I was long dead in Contra and he was still going on his darn 3 lives.
Why did you ever only have 3 lives? Maybe that's the question that we should be asking.
Because sometimes we tried to beat it just with that to see if we could do it.
Interesting. So you were those kids?
I was not. I couldn't beat it with the 100 lives. He was, unfortunately. So I had to watch a lot of video games.
That's not something that I would enjoy either. I can't believe people actually watch that on YouTube or that it's popular.
No.
What is the point of that?
Thank God for his mom's spaghetti, though, because I could eat several plates of that while he was playing. So.
Works out, and I see you still have been working on getting rid of that since then. How long ago was that, Tim?
30 years. 30.
It's a lot of spaghetti.
28 years. It was good spaghetti. Barb made the best spaghetti.
So back to what I'll bring next time. I also saw Shock Top, their pumpkin one, which must be clearly out of season.
Oh, it's god awful.
Because I believe I saw 6-packs for $2.99 recently in a big bin. So when I am supplying the beer, we may have an entirely different show. So far, Oculto and Shock Top.
Wow, that sounds fantastic. I don't know that we ever need to do another show again. I'm sure most of the listeners agree, but
Although we compare it to that first beer we had.
not a whole lot different. That's a very good point. Although, to Shock Top's defense, I actually really enjoy their apple crisp.
Shock Top was actually one of the first beers that I started drinking. It was their wheat, one of their original. It was probably their original.
Shock Top is a wheat.
But it was probably their first one before they had expanded into all of their craziness and
they're-
trying to get people
Orange and coriander, yeah.
to try to like various flavors. And I tried to have Tim make me one similar to that, and he rotted it or got it infected. I believe it was his.
Ooh.
It was a wheat that we had tried to make.
We do have some of that infected beer down in the basement from 8 years ago. I think we could pull one out and see if it still tastes like horse blanket. Because it certainly did then.
It probably has only evolved. It might actually be popular now.
Yeah, actually now we could probably sell it for, like $50 a bottle and people will be lining up for it because it's some kind of crazy funky thing right now.
Yeah. We might actually be able to sell it to Budweiser or something. They would keg it back up and sell it as a limited edition release. It'd be delicious.
I think that's a wonderful idea. Of course, we all know that we can't sell our homebrew beer because that would be illegal, and we have never done that. And actually, that's the God's honest truth. We've been to many beer festivals where we've actually poured our beer before, and we've had lots of people come up to us and ask us where they can buy it. And I said, build me a brewery, and then you can buy it. But that never happened, so...
Yeah, we haven't met that right person yet that has the finances to do that. And ultimately, if they're drinking Tim's beer, there's a good chance that we'll never find somebody who has the finances to do that.
That's a good point.
You needed video there because he was definitely agreeing with me. And then he remembered that there was no video.
Yeah. So, what else are you up to now? I know you got your Fitbit and you're running all the time. And are you
That's not
biking
true.
yet?
We're biking, but I have not been running all the time.
I've been running. I've been walking. I've try to do
Saw that.
a mile a day.
He tweets it out every day,
Not every day.
just so all of us can keep track of it. Feel free to, follow him in his
At Crinkletalk.
tweets about running or walking or whatever it is he's doing on a treadmill. The Rock has still not responded to him. I've noticed.
He's not. I'm a little disappointed in that. The Rock, I'm calling you out. What's up with that? You post that you get up at 6:30 in the morning to work out. Pretty sure I got up at 4:30 this week to work out. So
You do know that he has made classic films like The Tooth Fairy and San Andreas. He doesn't have time to be responding to you.
well, I know he's currently busy on Baywatch.
Well, and it is WrestleMania season as well, coming up this weekend, actually.
I know because Steve Austin has a new beer out. That's just in time for WrestleMania.
That's good.
And
I had not heard that.
The Rock keeps posting pictures of him from 20 years ago when he was just a wee little lad and no muscles.
And then steroids took over, and now he's got
Right.
muscles.
There was actually one of him in the kitchen cooking something, and I'm pretty sure I still couldn't smell what it was. So,
That was a really poor attempt at humor, but a few of you may get that and enjoy yourself.
you're welcome. That's what I call a dad joke, and you can deal with it.
Tim's finishing his beer. Mine is gone, so I'm just going to pretend like I'm finishing it.
So do you want to have another one of these, or should we move on to what's in the fridge?
Again, we probably should move on, because otherwise I will be needed elsewhere, and we will not be finished.
And by needed elsewhere, he means castrated if he's not there in time. So we're moving on to a beer that my wife actually just picked up for me this week when she was in Omaha. And it is a coffee vanilla stout, and I think it's actually a sweet stout or a milk stout, which is truly one of my favorites.
It says nothing about that on the can, so.
But actually, if you read the description, it says that it's a sweet stout, so you can shove it.
But I have the can open, and then I'm going to have to turn it outside to read that.
Yeah, and it's from a brewery called Brickway.
Had you ever heard of that
I
prior?
have never heard of it, but I posted on one of the Iowa beer boards that my wife was going to be in Omaha and what should she get, and unanimous reply was to get this beer.
But have you always received good advice on the Iowa beer boards?
I would like to say yes, but that would not be true. Most of the time it's pretty good, though.
Yeah. I would just speculate that there's some people who are very opinionated and maybe don't have the same opinions as what we would have, that maybe dominate those boards at times.
That is very true.
And I've never been on them. I am just speculating based on being a human being.
And that's
that
actually
people would do
something
that.
we could kind of talk about a little bit, because there's been some talk about that on a lot of the boards lately, and one of my internet friends, the Iowa Beer Baron, Ben, he posted that he had, I think it was a Weyerbacher stout, breakfast stout, and he said it was good, but the hype over it was a little crazy, and I think that happens a lot right now, and I think there's a lot of beers out there that just get overly hyped and don't deserve it, and because of that, they sell out so quick, and people are trying to do ridiculous trades for them, and it's pretty darn silly, if you ask me.
Well, and sometimes just a brewery name will cause that to happen. It has nothing to do with the beer or the quality of the beer, but you throw a couple letters on a bottle and everybody's jumping at it, driving up the price, driving up the market, and the people who are going to give an honest opinion are never able to encounter those beers just based strictly on those individuals who have the $200 to scoop up what may not be the world's best beer.
Or if you are lucky enough to get one and give an opinion, you're going to get mauled online by these people who say, no way, this is absolutely the best beer in the world, you're a moron, don't know anything. And I think that's a little sickening, and somebody wrote about that just a couple weeks ago, and I completely agreed with them. I encountered that with Zombie Dust. I had heard so much about this Pale Ale Zombie Dust, and so I had a good friend in Chicago get me a 6-pack, and it was a really good beer. Is it the best pale ale in the world? Does it absolutely live up to hype? Do you need to trade it 6-1? No, not at all. There are, I've had better pale ales than that, to be honest. That probably ranks up there as a very good one. But definitely not worth making such a big fuss out, in my opinion. But I guess to me, there's not a whole lot of beers that I would say, oh my God, I just got to do anything to get that one again.
They almost become like a unicorn. It's what's popular in that area. Everybody in that area talks it up, and the people who can't get it because it's not, everywhere national, then the people who are national, are seeking it out, driving up the price, and it's maybe not that mythical creature that everybody wants. It's just a regular old beer that has a good following in its area that it's in.
I think that's definitely the case for Zombie Dust. Very good beer, but definitely not one that you need to do anything in the world and trade thousands of dollars and thousands of beers to get to. It's just a really solid pale ale. We just tried our first sip of this Brickway coffee vanilla stout, and it's really good, actually.
It is a unique flavor. I'm not sure that I'm going to say very good at this point yet, but it's...
I think you got a little bit of barrel aged in your mouth.
Could definitely be. Tim did not supply palate cleansers.
That's true.
So I apologize if some of my flavor recognition is dulled.
Just like
based on
point
Tim's
out
ability.
that we are sitting probably 4 feet away from the sink right now, so if somebody wants said palate cleanser, he can get off his non-crippled ass and go get it.
I figured there would be a cheese and apple tray. However, I arrived and their dog jumped on my groin immediately, and I'm still yet to see said cheese or apple tray.
Well, when you show up 2 hours late for a podcast, you miss out on the cheese and apple tray.
I believe I was only an hour late, and I drove here.
Oh, I would say hour and a half, hour, 45 minutes. But
Tim's strength was never telling time or walking, so take that where you want.
walking, definitely not. Oh, can't argue with that.
No, so as I drink more of this, the first taste definitely was something else in my mouth. Could have been said banana from the beginning, or the other beer.
He does always have a banana in his mouth.
But it's definitely better now than what it was. It's really smooth.
It's very smooth. It's only, I think, 5.4% alcohol. So that's actually probably one of the lowest beers that I have alcohol per volume in the house right now. But actually, it's very good. So they did a nice job with it.
Tim either looked that percentage up online so that he'd have that information to share, or he's making that up. It does not say anywhere except for on the side of the can what the percentage is. And we all know Tim can't read sideways. It is 5.2%. So
5.2, so that was close.
he was off, but we'll let it go this time.
So I like to drink local whenever we can, so that's why when my wife was in Omaha, I said, let's go ahead and get some of that. And I heard it was a good beer, and this turns out this was a good 6-pack to get.
I would try something else from there. I've never heard of this place before, so I don't know, what their strength is. But obviously, this one's decent and definitely worth trying something else if they had other options that were available.
Have you been listening to any other podcasts or anything while you've been running or riding your bikes lately?
I have not. I don't have mobile internet, so no ability to do that.
He's practically Amish. He actually has a horse pull his bike for him.
Yeah, that's the way you do it.
It's very
Much
little
better.
exercise, but I'm not really sure the point of it. But
You have to train the horse first. So
all right, so that's where the exercise is, to train
breaking
the
the
horse.
horse, showing your dominance over a large, I'm assuming a mammal. I'm not really sure, but showing your dominance over that so that it knows to pull you and not drag you into traffic. That's a skill set.
Wow. I'm just kind of speechless on that one right there. I've been listening to a lot of Joe Rogan lately, and he's been talking a lot of health stuff as we're sitting here drinking beer.
We can stand if you want to. I've heard sitting is bad for you, so we maybe
It's true.
need to get
We might need to get up
standing
and
beer,
walk around a
drinking
little bit.
Cubicles or something of that nature.
Jared has been obsessed with fitness here for several years and has lost several hundred pounds. Okay, maybe that's exaggeration, but he lost quite a bit. He's done lots of 5Ks and the 100-mile bacon ride because
It's
bacon
only like
and health go
70
together.
miles. And we're actually signed up for the Gin this year. That's in June, so if anybody wants to go ride the Bacon, feel free to look that up.
That's in Des Moines.
Raccoon River Trail in Des Moines. Lots of cities. You stop along the way, you eat random bacon things. Probably not the best idea ever to put like bacon with
Well,
ice
right.
cream.
Physical exertion and then bacon.
Yeah.
I'm surprised there hasn't been a heart attack or two along the way.
I mean, but it's no different than ragbri. Pork chop on a stick.
That's very true. Good
Booze
point.
from the time you get done riding until the time you start riding. Why have there not been more people that have died along the route?
That's a good point. I think it's the alcohol keeps them alive.
It preserves their organs. So
Right.
even if they do die, when they get resuscitated, they're back. No problem.
Well, I don't think they actually die till like a week or two later.
Oh, that's why it's not reported. There's never been a statistic on how many ragbri riders die
Yeah.
well after it.
Just too much alcohol keeping those organs going. Oh,
Pickled.
pickled. That's a good word.
Uh-huh.
Nice. Pickled organs. So I've been trying to eat healthier. My blood pressure has been sky high as of like a month ago, and I'm already on blood pressure medicine, so cutting down on fat foods, eating less, eating more fruits and vegetables, especially the vegetables, and cutting out sugars quite a bit. Stop taking NSAIDs like ibuprofen because recent studies shows that they can take actually increase your chance of heart attack or stroke by 50%. So I started taking turmeric, or curcumin as the chemical compound is, for anti-inflammatory benefits, and been getting my cripple ass on the treadmill and doing a mile every day and hitting the gym a couple times a week, do some weights, and blood pressure's down. Still not down good enough, but huge difference. But still not giving up beer.
Yeah, that probably won't happen. You give up everything in your world, there's really no reason to be there, so you've gotta have some things. If you just sit around and eat wheatgrass and walk every day, you're not gonna be very happy with your life, so
I have had a couple good wheatgrass beers.
that was a great segue. I'm not even sure what wheatgrass is, but that must be the brand.
I honestly
is the
don't know what wheatgrass is. I've never had it in other than beer form.
Huh.
I think when I was at Dogfish Head one time at their brew pub, they had a lemon wheatgrass wheat.
Interesting.
Pretty tasty.
Not something I would seek out.
Good summer beer. Not bad for sitting on the beach.
Or on your lawnmower.
Right. Good lawnmower beer.
Just
Actually,
not if you're on the road driving your lawnmower. That'll get you a ticket.
except for maybe some counties in Iowa. They might be okay with that.
Well, you can get away with anything if you don't run into the police.
I thought I was going to get tickets tonight because I did a nice UE on the highway. And as I was doing it, a cop pulled over, pulled around and just kind of glared at me and kept on going. We're okay.
That's good. Sometimes
This
you
was
have to
before the
test those
podcast
things.
and the beer, I'd like to say. Totally
This was
sober.
right after he finished the beer when I got here, so
Totally sober.
that's the story now.
Well, after my dog was done licking your pants, he's now passed out on your foot.
Maybe we should lick my pants. It's having that effect apparently on people.
I'm not really sure what that's supposed to mean. I am married to your sister after all, but
It made the dog go to sleep, so there must be something good on my pants.
wow. Only wow is all I can say. So
That's all you got.
that's probably just about as good time as any to stop our inaugural
Well, and I
podcast.
finished my beer
I think,
too, so.
So our goal is to do podcasts at least once a month. I actually got a old friend, Pat, coming up, I think, in a week. And he's supposed to be bringing some West Laverne's 12, which you can only get in Belgium. And I have a nice bottle of Bourbon County Rare. And I think we are going to split it and podcast and see what happens.
Well, I need to put that on my calendar.
And
So, when is that?
I think he's going to come over next weekend sometime, so we'll probably drink and record next weekend
All right.
and try to get it up. So, I mean, the podcast, it is. So,
It is you and Pat, so
right.
who knows what will happen there.
I can guarantee you that that podcast will be considerably more raunchy than this one, and there will be a lot more inappropriate things said. So, if you are easily offended, probably skip that one. Or
That's
not.
if you listen to this one to heed that advice.
So you three people that are listening, you're easily offended, you may want to skip the next one. But I think that'll probably do it. And like
Do you have
I say,
any going out music, or do
I-
we only have an intro?
I think we can play the same music going out as we got going in because it was pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
So-
What is it called?
I think it's called "I'm a '70s Guy." I don't know. It was free with the app.
Is it I'm a 70s guy A, like a pirate, or is that A just there?
Oh, well, wouldn't it be more like Canadian?
It could be.
I'm a '70s guy,
That definitely could be what it is. That
Right.
song sounded Canadian, so.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us in the first ever Crinkletalk podcast with Tim and Jared, and congratulations for making it through this because that was pretty brutal. And
If you make it through 40 minutes, we applaud you.
I hope that you had some excellent beer to get you through there because we kind of actually gradually got better as the podcast went on, beer wise. I mean, not necessarily podcast wise, but that's okay. We'll see what we get into next time. So thanks for joining us, and give us a listen in a week.
And remember, grab a Chiquita.
We'd like to thank this week's sponsor, Chiquita Banana. Remember, if you have a cramp, shove a banana in your mouth.